Udeti bhavato vishwam. Udeti bhavato vishwam. Varidheriva budbudah. Iti gyatvaitma atmanam evam evalayam brajya. Simple translation is that the universe rises from you, and that you is real self. The universe rises from you, the real self. How it rises? Very good. So it says, this next verse is in the chapter number 5 of Astavakra Gita. Now, the master points out there are 4 different ways to reach the real self. So in this verse, first let me translate this verse. It says the universe rises from you. That you is real self. It is consciousness. Rises from you, the real self. How it rises? Like bubbles rising from the sea. Thus, so when it rises, so it has to fall down. So it rises like the bubbles rising from the sea. Thus, know the real self to be one. And in this way, you enter into the highest state of meditation. We have been understanding as a seeker that this real self is pure consciousness. It is self-existent, it is self-evident, and it is self-luminous. Means what? Self-evident. It knows itself by itself, self-luminous. It has the absolute knowledge in itself, and self-existent. It is independent. It is independent of anything. Body depends on these chemicals, carbs, protein. Breathing depends on the air. But there is no dependency of this real self. That is why it is pure consciousness. What we need? We need an understanding, knowledge, clarity. What is the clarity? Simple way. I am not the body. No, then when I will die, I will know I am not the body. How you know that when you die? Body is already separated at the time of the death, but we do not exist. We are not aware. So separation does not mean anything. So what the master is saying that there is a delusion in the intellect that the body and the real self are one. When we remove that delusion in the intellect, then what happens? That process is known as discernment. The problem is in the intellect. Problem is in the mind. By doing headstand posture, nothing is going to happen. The delusion will remain there. That we need to understand. Now see another way to understand. When I see you, I experience you. Clear? You are an object of experience. I am an experiencer. And there is an experience between you and me. This is the work of the mind. Mind divides and perceives. That is the greatest impurity of the mind. Now, when you replace or by meditation, the mind is replaced by real self, pure consciousness that does not divide experience, experiencer, and experienced. I think you are getting it now. You all are seekers. Astavakra Gita talks of the highest principles. There is no three entities. No experiencer, no experienced, and no object of experience. I experience waves in the forms. Are waves in the forms different from the water? Answer is no. There is only one entity. Go little deeper. Is ocean different from the water? If the water is not there, the ocean does not exist. So can I say that from the water, ocean rises, the wave rises, and the foam rises? This is how the logic is given to help us to remove the delusion from the mind. Terry, we need only an understanding. When you remove that delusion in the intellect, what happens? This mind is purified, and this mind reflects only the real self, one pure consciousness, that duality, that trinity, that you and me are different. How can you say you and me are different? At the physical level. But at the level of the consciousness, that difference does not exist. What we will get, go on differentiating. I and Jerry are different. I and David are different. Go on differentiating. What you will get? Ask yourself. We don't get anything. I'm not talking of the science. Science, when we say that A is a process of reductionism, Eastern wisdom is a science of unification, knowing that one reality. So this is one way that you are contemplating and reflecting every time with your every experience, interacting with the world, and ultimately the intellect leads you to the separation that the body and the real self are separate. And once that separation is removed, caused by the delusion, we live, we think, we act in meditation. That is why it is known as meditation is effortless, natural. Remember, don't forget, in the first chapter, the seeker is asked the three questions. Do you remember the three questions? Knowledge of the real self, not of others. Dispassion is another requirement. So dispassion and the knowledge of the real self. We study, Eastern wisdom like a fiction. It fascinates me. There is only one reality, like a fiction, like an actor in a movie. We appreciate and we forget it. Why? The mind in delusion says that is not practical. What is practical is causing me suffering. That is very much practical in my life. Do you see the argument our masters have given? So you see that in the first chapter, we understand the power of dispassion, power of knowledge of the real self. We don't know. Fact is that the way we have been conditioned by the society, by the culture, by the family, by the science and the world, it's almost a cultural hypnosis. When you ask, oh, do you have a stress? Who doesn't have a stress in the world? Come on, come on, what you are talking? Who doesn't have a stress? You have become a great philosopher to dig deep into the stress. Natural question comes, don't tell me nobody lives in the stress. It means I know that everybody is living in the stress, so I am also. So that lack of understanding is given by the principles of the Eastern wisdom, but we can understand these knowledge only when we have a power of discernment and dispassion. And after that, the master in the first chapter explained, you can summarize that real self is pure consciousness. That pure consciousness is self evident. You have to dig inside your intellect. You need not to practice asanas, pranayama, and other stuff, mantras. You have to dig. You have where the illusion lies in the intellect. So I have to think. I have to become a thinker. So you find that real self, you have to understand it is self evident, it is self luminous, and it is self existent. So, the second chapter, the master, the seeker explains, listening to you, I have reached that. I have reached that. But the master doesn't believe that. In order to check in the third chapter, the master says, how you say you are awakened, you are in peace and freedom. He raised the doubt in the mind of a seeker. Why he raises the doubt? So that the mind, to check if the mind is 100% pure, receive the knowledge as it is, reach to the state of meditation. One example, you can see that what happens when I changed, when I am settled in meditation, my perception of the world changed. Honey, you are responsible, mind. Now your perceptions changed. You know what perception has changed. Now it is the real self perceiving the real self. It is very much practical. It is here and now. This is what Master explained in the third chapter. In the fourth chapter, Seeker says yes. Seeker presents his perception has changed, his knowledge has changed. He is experiencing the state in from moment to moment. And then we come to the fifth chapter. In the fifth chapter, we have four different methods, very higher methods of, so to say, the meditation. So Master confirms this is the last week I have understood the complete dispassion helps you to live in meditation 24/7. Complete dispassion. Complete dispassion. That includes a lot of stuff. The duality, likes and dislikes, pain and pleasure, blame, complaint, reaction, game coming from the mind is over now. It does not happen in your mind. So that mind is pure and it reflects the state of dispassion. We have already covered on Mondays and Thursdays. So now the master is saying there is another method. Can you perceive? Take one example. We all use smartphone, but no, and so there are two types of people. The one person uses the smartphone like us, the entire group that I'm talking to you, including me. The other guy who is an expert, who knows deep inside how the smartphone works, what is the chip, what is the motherboard, how the call is made, what happens, what are the changes that takes place. But from outside, both are using the smartphone. One knows inside, one does not know inside. So when you know inside, your perception changes. For all practical purposes, the smartphone for an expert who knows inside is purely an instrument, and we get attached to it. So when we have a surface understanding, then there is a normal tendency of the mind that it gets attached. Why are you sad to me like this? Normally, especially in India, it happens. The wife says to the husband, "You criticized my mother 10 years ago. I still have those feeling inside me. Where they are inside me, I don't know, but I keep on repeating." So what he says, Udeti bhavato vishwam varidhe buddha. So now he has given an example, because real self is purely subjective. You cannot see through the sense organ and the mind. So that is why we have to give similes, metaphors, and example to make us understand. Wave, we say wave is an essence. We say you are real, so you are a wave. Remove the consciousness, wave is gone. So wave is in a sense felt by the mind in delusion. You remove water, no ocean, no foam, no wave. Same thing. Remove the consciousness, not individual body, breath, mind, intellect, thought, egoism, enjoyer, doer, reputation, recognition, nothing is there. If you remove that consciousness is taken as water. Water. We are pure consciousness. It is real self and Satchidananda. Waves without water, or water without waves. Which one is true? Waves without water does not exist at all. Constantly you reflect during the day. The body cannot exist without the consciousness. Waves do not exist without the water. I exist because of consciousness, not because of honey, son, daughter, reputation, recognition, wealth, body, breath, mind, intellect, ego. They all are bubbles in the same consciousness. The highest teaching in Eastern wisdom. They all are bubbles. They rise and they fall. So when we have that clarity in the intellect and you maintain awareness, you are living in meditations. All our confusions are gone. You say, I gave birth, I know I will be born as a human being. No chance. Uh, when that experience takes place, it takes place in empty mind. You see, Buddha says emptiness, nothingness. Again, go back. So that empty mind lives in the state of dispassion. Empty mind does not mean that you don't have a thought. If you don't have a thought, the mind is not there. Thought is mind, mind is thought. But clinging is not there. Huh? That passion is not there. That likes and dislike is not there. That pain and the pleasure experienced by the mind is not taken as I. That is the meaning of the empty mind. So that state of meditation takes place in the empty mind, which is pure, and in the intellect, which lives in the highest level of, go back to the first chapter, the dispassion. That is why this book starts with the three questions. Udeti bhavato vishwam varidhe budbudah. He simply says, just knowing with the clarity that this matter and the consciousness has an unholy wedlock. Sometimes we use the unholy wedlock. How can the matter and the consciousness go together? How can I say that this body is consciousness and consciousness is the body? I can say car belongs to me, but I do not belong to car. That is why we change car. Do you see that? House belongs to me, but I do not belong to the house. I am independent. And that I is the real self. Are you getting it? You have to contemplate. Car belongs to me, but I do not belong to it. Smartphone belongs to me, but I do not belong to the smartphone. I can change the phone. Can smartphone change me? Can car change me? It's a pure aware. Can I live into that awareness? So I break the unholy wedlock between the matter and the consciousness. So when you break the unholy wedlock, what is that state? That state is dispassion. That is how we understand. Here and now, not in future. No, I will think after the session is over. This master says meditation is here and now or never. Body exists because of me. And that me is I am. That I am is real self. Mind exists because I am. And that I am is real self. First understanding. And second understanding, this body, breath, mind, intellect, ego, all the thoughts are like bubbles, rise and fall in the consciousness. Are you getting it? Rise and fall in that consciousness. We identify ourselves through the body. I have a reputation, I have a wealth, I have a house. That is why I exist. See the wrong notion. And once we have that understanding, that in the state of the dispassion, it leads you to that higher level of awareness where we separate, where we feel, we see the separate. It is already separate. But because of the illusion, we find that they are having an unholy wedlock between the matter and the consciousness. So, here what says our master, that is another beautiful understanding that this body, breath, mind, intellect, ego, they all belongs to one set of existence, and that is matter. It is purely material matter. And the one consciousness is there that is pervading in all beings. It is one reality, that is real self. So when we understand in the highest state of dispassion and discernment, we live into that awareness. One of the great masters, J. Krishnamurti, says it is a choiceless awareness. It is awareness where there is no choice. So he is referring in consciousness, there is no choice. In I am, there is no choice. In mind, we have a choice. And that choice creates a duality. That choice says, you are there, I am here. For the matter of convenience, living my worldly life, it is okay, you are there and I am there. But deeper inside, do I live with that real self all the time? Yes. Then what happens? I say, you are here, so I'm playing my role. So it becomes a play and a fun outside. Whether there is a pain, whether there is a suffering, whether there is an attachment, all are play and the fun. Why they are play and fun? Go back to the same principle again. They are the bubbles rising in an ocean and fall down. They are the bubbles. Last part, again, you may become aware. The moment you raise your hand, okay, I raise my hand. I have given that example hundred of times. So just start asking through the intellect, but I know you right hand. So does the right hand also says that I know you? That is the proof that this body is matter. Body right hand cannot say. I know you also. So what is the properties of being inert? Inert does not know itself, it does not know anything. It does not know others. I know myself. Why? Consciousness. If I'm not conscious, I cannot know. Go back. I repeat it. You have to repeat in your mind again and again. Do I love happiness? Yes. Happiness is my nature. Now start exploring in the field of awareness, in the state of dispassion, and you are there. What a beautiful way to express by this master. So let us start our journey.